You're listening to Beyond Orders, a podcast about military spouses who are done shrinking themselves to fit someone else's story. Hosted by Michelle Penzak, CEO of Squared Away.
Thank you for joining us on Beyond Orders. Today's guest is the absolute definition of leading with heart, strategy, and purpose. Krista Knuffke is a proud mom of 2 little girls and an Army spouse whose resilience and adaptability shine through in everything she does. She has a background in healthcare and began at Squared Away as an executive assistant, where her gift for communication, organization, and relationships quickly stood out. Her ability to understand clients led her into sales, and today she serves as our Director of Client Success. Krista now leads our sales and onboarding teams, aligning the full client journey from first engagement to long-term growth. A strategist and operator, she ensures every leader experiences seamless support and lasting value. Krista's story is one of evolution, empathy, and empowerment, and I'm thrilled to share it with you today on Beyond Orders. Thank you for joining me, Krista, again.
Thank you for having me. We are here. We are doing it. I'm happy to be back.
Oh my gosh. I got to tell you guys, I had my very first podcast mess up, like complete implosion. Krista and I recorded a few weeks ago, and sadly, it was only my audio, and it sounded like I was having a very awkward conversation with myself. So we're going to do this again, and computer is all good to go. All right.
Well, it happens.
Hey, technology, as much as we will rely on it, is not always our friend. That's for
Right.
sure.
Yes, it happens every day.
Yes, every single day. So we're going to get started, and why don't you tell me a little bit about what initially led you to Squared Away and what made you feel like this was the cray-cray place for you?
Yeah, it seems like so long ago now. It's just kind of wild because people are always like, "Oh, you work remote," and I was like, "Yeah, even before COVID, I don't even know the life now. I can't really imagine doing that in person at all." And I was like, "Oh, okay, wow." I was living in North Carolina. I'd been working as a medical assistant for a while, looking to do possibly PA school. And with our lovely spouses, it was not going to work out to do school in anywhere that was convenient. So I started kind of, tweaking some things and seeing like, what else could I do? So then I was just doing some, like I still working as a medical assistant, working as like a virtual scribe, like doing some, medical like admin work. And then I came across Squared Away. Like, I don't even remember where I found it, like a Facebook group, I think, because that was like what we did at the
those were
time.
the OG
Yeah. Yeah.
announcement
That's like
for
that's where we found Squared Away then. And I was like, oh, okay, like that's interesting. It's still remote. I'll give it a go. And then I did my application. I did half of it. And then I was like, I don't know. Like, let me think about it. And then a week later, so like someone reached out and was like, hey, we'd love for you to finish your application. I was like, oh, okay, I should probably do this then. Let me do this. So I did it. And then I started March 2020. So peak COVID. So fun times for sure. I was like, okay, I guess I'm starting this new job. And I guess it works because nothing, everything else is kind of a mess, but this seems like a good place to start.
That was
And
a
I worked
wild
as an
time to
That was a
come
wild
in,
time. Yeah,
'cause
and I mean,
we were doing so many pivots just to stay
totally.
afloat, and we were like, welcome to Squared Away, and we're changing most of what we do right now.
Yes. Don't remember any of this word for word because it might change. I
Pretty
was
much.
like, okay. No, but I immediately, I got some clients. I've had the pleasure of working with like a solo GP of a venture capitalist firm. I worked with an email marketing company. I worked with a few consultants. So really just a broad range that I was able to kind of dive into. And I ended up doing a lot more than, at the time my background even honestly accounted for, but I took it ran with it. And I think that's a lot of what we did kind of back in those days. And all of those clients ended up being like really long-term clients for me. And I had a special relationship with all of them. And then after starting Squared Away a little bit, I had only been there for a little bit. And then through some encouragement, I was, kind of pushed towards a team lead position, which we still have those today. And I was like, yeah, that sounds good. Like I would love a team. I think I have a wide variety of clients. I've encountered some problems. Okay. So I did, and I did get selected. And so then I did that for quite a bit. And I did love my team. I had a full team for most of the time, but a lot of them, like, I'm still really close with, so it's really nice that it's, like, my first team. I always there's, like, 5 people that I still talk to really regularly, so that's always, like, special.
What are some of the things that you did as a team lead? Because
Oh
I
my
don't think
gosh.
everybody knows exactly what
Yes.
it is.
So basically, I had my team of, I think at that time it was like 10 to 15 assistants. We usually hovered around 10, I would say, with people ebbing in different teams or whatever it might be. We'd have weekly syncs with all of our team members and kind of check in what they were doing with their clients, like if there are any issues we needed to get ahead of, anything we could troubleshoot together. So it's, a mentorship position about, and then it revolves around, like, of course, helping them through, but also, you know, kind of helping them realize that maybe not everything that they thought they were doing right at the beginning might hold true the whole time. We see a lot of clients shift their needs over time, we still do, and then just kind of building that confidence and being like, you still have this great relationship with your client. This is something you can figure out. You have a whole team behind you, and I mean, we still have that. We have, like 350 people on Slack. It's a huge way to crowdsource, and we've had that since day one, and it's not just your team lead that you have help from, it's everyone in our community, which is really nice. So, and especially when you first come onto a company, it's nice kind of to have that person that's a little more, working intimately with you because you're learning how to work with clients, but you're also working with Squared Away. Like we are a company, we have our own, things to put in place, like when you're onboarding, how we operate. And so you kind of have to learn like two jobs at once.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm,
Oh, man,
I
having
need to
a
get that
team
fly.
lead guide you through
My fly.
the wha the what to expect and the craziness that comes with, "Okay, well, I have 3 clients. How do I balance this?"
Yep.
And, "How do I block my schedule and keep my kids entertained while I'm on a call?" And,
Yes.
oh my gosh, I think we've shared that regularly every single month.
Totally.
Like, here's a new way to, occupy your children so that they're
Yeah.
not running around like Batman in the background. No, I think
And sometimes they are.
and sometimes they are because Sawyer's definitely done that before. Or you have a random naked child in the background, which has also happened before. Um, but no, that role is so important. So going from being a team lead to client success, what did
Yeah.
that journey look like?
Yeah, so I liked being a team lead. I liked helping assistants. I'm a natural, very chatty person, always have been. It's like very typical of being in like client relation sales type role. Like you were always, getting in trouble for like talking too much in school, and that is holds true. And I still
Your
think
entire
I still think that holds true for me.
client team.
And I was looking at, after a team lead, I was like, there's other ways, I can expand this Squared Away. Like, what do I think works the best for me? I'm not really sure. And so there's a few different openings, and one came and went. I was like, no. And then, this position opened up to help Jordan at the time, and it was like administrative assistant for a sales team, basically. I was like, oh, okay, like that seems to be of interest to me. Like this seems like right up my alley. I like, I chat with my clients and a lot of people that they work with. That's kind of already a
Mhm.
natural part of my day. And then I also halfway filled in my application for that, which is my theme here. The application closed, and bless her, I thank her probably once a week still. Jordan was like, "Hey, are you going to fill this out?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I was really debating it. I just wasn't quite sure." And she was just like, I really think you should fill it out." It's like, Okay, yeah, great. And so I did, and then, we had an interview, and I think, Michelle, you were on it too, but, like, Jordan and I had a natural connection from the beginning as well, and just, like, everything she was doing, I felt really aligned with and wanted to support our mission, and it kind of aligned with what I had already seen, starting when we were a really small team to now and in between. It's been really cool to watch the growth, not only on the client side, but assistant side too, and I was like, "Yeah, like, I do wanna, you know, watch this company, like, do more, and this is how I can be more involved." And so I did, and then it kinda took off from there. Jordan and I were working together doing sales calls, doing client onboarding, matching clients and assistants, which is like still that I ended up taking kind of that on as my baby. I mean, Jordan, she did it OG, but I really grasped onto that. I loved it. I was having fun with it, and she was fine to give that up.
That is truly my most favorite thing that I miss so much. Like, client calls, I always love chatting with clients, but there's just something so fun about putting the puzzle pieces together
Yes.
and finding someone their person. And I'll never forget my most favorite match was with a venture capitalist. Very spicy, very completely squared away, no pun intended. And
Always.
he was like, "Why did you match me with this yoga instructor?" And I was like, "Because I think she's the best fit based on her skill set." And he goes, "I've always had a career EA. I've never had someone who is a yoga instructor." And like, it just boggled his mind. And I was like, "Dude, if she can do all of this, then she's going to be a great fit for you." And he ended up absolutely adoring her and
And
was
you're
like,
like,
"Wow, you're like a Jewish mother matchmaker." And I was like, "In a professional capacity, yes, we are." But it's so fun doing that.
yeah, it is my favorite part, and, like, I mean, still to this day, like, I'll be on calls with people, and obviously, I mean, we have a lot of assistants. I don't know everyone personally, but I have a good grasp of everyone who, the majority of people who are available and who want clients and what clients they've worked in the past, just because I've been here for so long that it lives in my head somehow, and I feel
Mhm.
really confident about it. But there's nothing better than being on a call and being and just thinking like, oh, three names immediately popped into my head. Like I know some people who would love to support you, and they've done exactly this. And just with the skill set, the personality, I know you would vibe, and you just feel so accomplished. Like, wow, I solved a Rubik's cube, and that's great.
Yes, exactly. It feels like just an amazing Rubik's Cube moment. You couldn't have put
Yeah,
any better than that.
yeah. Like
Oh
a
my
little glowing light that happens, and you're like, this will be so nice.
god. Here is your person. Go do good things out in the
Yeah.
world. So I know that this is just a unique week for military spouses around
Yeah.
the world right now. The government shut down. Looking at you, Congress. Come,
Do listen
that's
to our
all we
podcast because
and so many military families have so much uncertainty right
yeah.
now, which is frustrating in a lot of ways. If you've seen my social media, I'm sharing all the memes about it right now. What does it look like for you and your family right now? And how do you navigate the emotional and practical sides of the
Yeah.
government shutdown?
That's a good question. And gosh, this hasn't happened in quite a while. So I am, without being too cliche, I am fortunate to have squared away because like we are, you know, good. Like it's gonna be okay. Like, yes, obviously, if this goes on for months, like, there's gonna be a point where, like, things are getting rough, but, like, at the moment, because I can, contribute on a regular basis because I have this flexibility, like, I have 2 young kids. Not everyone who has 2 little kids, like 3 and under, it's not always feasible to work. Childcare is expensive, and, finding a job that is also flexible with, like, drop-offs, pickups, that's
Mhm.
not super easy to come by. And, you want it to make sense too. Like, I'm working a job, but it's also, a good paycheck that like makes sense for me to like put all this effort in for the return.
Right.
So I do appreciate that, and we have had a lot of assistance this week, be like, this is like really nice that we have this, that I was able to find squared away and do this because it's not, I'm not in full like breakdown mode as I might be, as a lot of families are.
Right.
And, it's not like that we're not being, sensible and making sure like everything's okay, but it's not an immediate worry. And it's one of those things that once again, like through my moves and everything, finding a job would be the most stressful part. Like, that's one huge layer that just causes so much havoc, and once again, I'm not in that. I'm not in that headspace. Like, I could be so much more stressed out than I am, and I do feel, fortunate to be able to contribute normally, but also in this time when, a lot of families don't have that, and that's just the truth, sadly, and we see that happen in a lot of ways with our forces because you know, you move somewhere where there's not a market for your business or your license for whatever you were trained in doesn't transfer. You have to, do some more
Mhm.
schooling tests. And it ends up taking a lot to, establish yourself in a new place every time.
Yeah, and what has been so wild to me is this week I've had quite a few people come to me and say, "Well, we thought the military was getting paid during a government shutdown." Fun fact, the military is not paid during a shutdown. That means that rent isn't paid for. People are not getting checks for food, BAH.
Hmm.
And we're fortunate because we work with Squared Away and we have the capacity to take that on.
Right.
But there are so many military families out there, and you guys can Google the salaries for military members. I assure you, they are not in the millions. But families for instance, lower enlisted families who
Yeah,
are
totally.
living paycheck to paycheck, and they're like, what do I do? And these are families that often rely on food pantries and other options out there, sadly. Um, but one thing that, and I'm going to share this in the comments, our team put together some resources for military families during the shutdown. Um, Whether it's, zero interest loan or something like that, which again, sadly, we should not have to be using these resources, but we're going to share as many as we can because we are impacted. And the more people who
Yeah,
know about it can talk about it and advocate for it. So, get
it's
out
true.
there and start calling your congressmen and women and tell 'em, "Go fix the budget."
Find your
Um,
phone free.
but I'll get off my soapbox when it comes to that. But, yes, please, please check on your military family friends out there. There's a lot going on. Um,
Yeah.
so
And it is nice, we can't solve every problem, but it does go back to our mission of trying, your mission, our mission, I feel like so aligned. But I'm here still because I believe in the mission. Employing as many military spouses as possible, giving them meaningful work that isn't, just like working retail or, working in a restaurant, something that they just like really aren't able to do with their families and the changing dynamics of, the military and the fun that that brings. And so it's nice
Mhm.
that we can help a small portion of people and make this, you know, less of a major stressor. And even if it just helps the stress a little bit, that's a positive.
We're doing what we came here for, my friend, for sure.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
The client experience with Squared Away is such a core part of what has made us successful as a company. How, or let me rephrase that. Well, no, I'm going to say it that way. How do you create connection and trust with someone from that very first engagement with you and your team?
Yeah, that's a good question. And with that, a lot of times, I mean, now 2025, we are not the only VA company around. We definitely, there was less of us, but obviously post COVID, there's a lot more.
Mhm.
And, it's not, you can come to so many options. And like for me, it's something to focus on because you're selling a service. You're not it's not a product. Like I am selling you legally a person. Um, always legal.
Always legal, not
But
nefarious in any way.
like I'm selling someone that can help you, someone to assist you. And so it's nice because at this point, like we have seen so many types of clients come through and I've seen it work in so many different types of ways with different personality, different tasks. Every type of business you can think of, like they have come to us at one point or another. That's just natural. I mean, we just help so many different kinds of people. And it's really about making that connection like straight off the jump. And that's why I always want people to get on calls with me. Like I love taking calls with people, not just because I like to talk, but also I get to flesh out kind of where their pain points lie. And you can gather a lot from just talking with a person, in terms of how they act, how they respond to things. It's nice to get that whole picture right off the get go. And I can be like, listen, I've seen this exact situation before. Like your problem is something that we solve every day, and I'm happy to find you a way to solve this with me. It's really about just like listening to people and making sure that they know like you're there even after, the onboarding is done.
Mhm.
And yeah, of course, like we have our other departments and everything, but Jordan and I have seen this over the years and other people on our sales team too. When they talk to like whoever they talk to, they want to keep talking to that person. Like there would be people who wouldn't talk to me because they only knew Jordan and vice versa. Like they wouldn't talk to her because they're like, no, Krista knows. Like I've talked to her explicitly. I feel better. Like they glom onto
Yep.
you a bit because you're here to walk them through this process and reassure them that everything's going to be okay. And we got a lot of people who have never worked with an assistant, in various sorts of capacities. And we use assistant as a pretty broad term just because we have people who do so many things now. It's not just like your traditional EA role anymore, but people come to us and they're just, they're stuck. They're like, I am overwhelmed. I'm drowning. I don't understand how this would work, but I feel like like someone told me I should reach out for help. So I did. And now I don't know what's next. And so it's talking through like what is possible too. And people, we'll just like spitball together and they're like, "Oh man, like I didn't even think you could do that." Or that would be really helpful. Now that you said that out loud, wow, like I would love that. And so kind of showing them, pulling them behind the curtain, being like, there's more than you think. You don't have to do this all alone. My favorite thing I tell clients is, everything that you're doing probably has to be done, but it doesn't have to be done by you. And
Correct.
that's like where we come in.
I feel like on sales calls, at least when I was doing them regularly, it was like, this is your burnout therapy session
Yeah.
and how we're going to get you much better where you're not burning the candle at both ends. And then they're like,
Totally.
oh my gosh, it feels like a boulder is off of my chest. And I'm like, thank you for this burnout therapy session. I hope
I
you
mean,
feel
honestly.
now you can come in, see how amazing our team is.
And it's so true. It's also just like, obviously, like we want to get you someone that can take like the physical load of doing those tasks, whatever they might be off your plate, but also like that mental load is huge. Like a lot of people love having just someone else to be like, I'm thinking of this. I need someone to take this away from me and run with it because I want to get it done. I have no bandwidth to do this. Like it
Yep.
just isn't realistic. And people, and that makes people feel better too. So it works on both ends.
Oh yeah. I am the queen of not giving stuff away. Ask ask any of our chief level assistants, but there is something to be said for handing over a project that makes an impact, especially something where it's going to have a positive benefit on your business. Speaking from personal experience, giving HubSpot away to
Yeah, fair.
to you and Amanda was like handing my baby over. And now
Yeah,
I look at it and I'm like, wow, this is so much better than even I could have done. And why didn't I do this sooner? And why did I just keep it close to the chest? But
right.
it's a control thing and making sure that it needs to be done my way doesn't always
Yes.
mean that's the best way. And that's something that I personally struggle with. So I tell clients that all the time. I'm like,
Yeah.
I am the world. I can teach you how to delegate all day long and do it effectively.
Will I practice
I
it?
am a horrible practicer of it. Just ask my team because you do have to come back and say, okay, they can probably do it better than me.
Yeah.
And I'm overwhelmed, so I'm not going to be doing it to the fullest
Right.
extent that I possibly can.
Or it gets really backlogged and then it's even worse than it was before. And then you really don't want to do it because now it's
Exactly.
pretty bad.
I just got a little bit of anxiety when you said that in my
You're like,
chest.
oh my goodness,
Like I
no.
feel that on an emotional level.
I
'Cause
mean,
it's
that's
hard.
so true. But also, we see that we also see like a lot of people come and they've gotten burned, before with an assistant, right? So they know how to delegate, but then it's that actual like release. Like I still have to give this up. And I tell people all the time, and like this is okay. Your assistant will help you delegate, but also like you can do it layer at a time. Like we don't expect you to fully trust this person right away. That isn't natural for any relationship you have. So why would it be natural for your assistant relationship, especially maybe if this hasn't worked out before? You've never worked with an assistant, you don't know how everything's going to play out. That uncertainty really affects people. And so it's just like, okay, you have these three things that you hate that are really causing you so much stress that you don't have to do. Start with that, and then you'll see that this person is capable. You can trust them to get it done. And then it's like, hey, we talked about that other thing. I would love to take that off your plate. And even if you just want me to like start it and then you can look, great. And then
Your feedback.
soon it turns into a snowball. And it's just like, thank you,
Yep.
passing it all off. And we want to make sure that it's like a two-way street between you have things that are hard for you to do, to give away, but also your assistant is really good at coming in and saying, hey, Michelle, like I see you're still doing XYZ. I've done this before for another client. Are you comfortable with giving me some of it, a part of it? And we can work through this together, and I'm happy to do that for you. So
Yep. Exactly. It's just building that base that takes
yeah.
it's like any type of relationship. I keep going back to dating, but it is
Yeah.
so much like dating.
That's your favorite.
It is. I promise not selling illegal people here.
We're not selling a date.
But when you first start a relationship, you start with the low hanging fruit, the things that, okay, well, this is safe for me. You give it away, and then you're like, oh man, I can trust them. I can give them a little bit more. And then you can give them all your crazy. after a while. And then you have that full on partnership. So it is a lot like dating, I feel like.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do agree. It's just funny that it ends up being the analogy, but I mean, that is true. You're just like, I don't wanna show them everything yet. They're gonna think, like, this is too
I'm not,
much.
and I
Yeah.
can't handle this person. Yep. Looking at
Oh
you at
gosh.
clients that we got out there, um, that I personally worked with. Um, but no, it's so true. Like nothing's gonna be perfect in the beginning. You have to work at it, and sharing that feedback and having a feedback loop with your assistant is
Yeah,
so important.
100%.
Um, so I know we could go on and on about all that fun stuff.
I could.
um, so I ask this all the time, and I know you've heard this question, but based on everything you've done and everything you've seen over the years, what does reinvention mean to you?
Yeah, I think, our processes now are completely different than they used to be. I don't think besides, like, G Suite, I just think we use anything that we first started using, you know what I mean?
We are mostly out of Google Docs. Can I just
But I mean,
put
like, Gmail, like, yeah, the whole, like, Google just workspace, like, besides, like, us using that for email, we use so many different platforms than we used to. And we've gone through iterations that were effective for a while. Maybe we probably could have used them better, but, it didn't necessarily work for our team. And so I think it's trying to, realize that your processes one, they have to evolve over time because, like, we're
Absolutely.
scaling, we've been scaling. The thing we used when we were a company of 60 doesn't work for a company of 400. That's just unrealistic. And so it's being able to adapt with, like, new platforms, new processes, but still keep the heart of, like, what you're doing and making sure, trying to evolve with all the changes that are happening. We have so like and this is 2025, the world of AI, like, we have so many automations that I
Mhm.
never would have even thought, like, 4 years ago that we'd be able to do. And still sometimes I'm amazed, like, Amanda will build something and I'll be like, "That's great. Thank you so much. I never would have thought that that could be possible. What a treat," you know?
Right?
Um,
It's like a little mini Christmas present when you're like,
yeah,
"Wow, that took so much of my time away." Yes.
right. And I'm
Love
like,
it.
it's just and that didn't it's so simple, but it's really, like, making sure that our processes can continue to evolve and work better and, like, that we're open to those ideas. We can't stay stagnant. We never have, and I think we talked about this on our last recording, but, I don't know when you're out of startup mode. I don't know when that happens, but I
I don't
feel like
either. We're in year 8 though, so we'll see.
so we'll see when that happens, but for now, we don't know, but I feel like as a startup, that is important, and as you grow, as you bring on more people, more clients, that's just what happens, and you have to change. And the what we've implemented in terms of, like, the new platforms that we use, how we do our processes, what automations we put in place, like, it helps us serve our clients and assistants better because our clients, they can get more one-on-one attention for things that, I have an hour freed up because I don't have to do these emails, or they're set up through Airtable, thank you. And so now I can really hone in on our clients, what their needs are, go through our massive assistant pool and get a good feel of these people, both, like, personally, and professionally. So it's nice to get time back to feel like it's nice to get the time back for the admin stuff that, once again, you have to do, but I rather take the time to connect with our clients, know them, know our assistants, and solve everyone, try to solve problems on both
Mhm.
sides so that we really do find, like, those good long-term matches that create the wonderful relationships we love to hear about.
I feel like we've reinvented Squared Away internally so many different times
Totally.
over the past 8 years. I feel like we do something different and better every 6 months in that
Yeah.
regard. So personally, how does reinvention what does that word mean to you? See, you're on your sales
I
kick right now,
I
Krista.
do. Personally, I think that's an easier question because I have young children, so I'm forced against my will to, like, reinvent how I'm doing things
Mhm.
because toddlers are not logical. And some days I'm like, "Oh, I've got this. Like, I am crushing it. Wow, look at me go." And then other days I'm like, "Wow, okay. I was just, like, totally put down by a child. She doesn't listen to anything I say. I'm obviously a terrible parent. So what else, like,
Mhm.
what other reasoning could this be?" So I do think that is, like, a very normal process for me. And just because, especially when they're young, like, things that worked 6 months ago, she's a totally different human than she was then. It's kind
Oh,
of and
yeah.
it's navigating that change for myself and, like, how I respond and not responding, my initial reaction how I want to. You keep that and you're like, "Okay, I'm the adult." But also, like, working through it with your partner, like, my husband's even is, like, a very involved dad, but, like, sometimes there will be things and we're like, "What are we supposed to do with this?" Like, she's crazy. Like, how do people do this? And so it's like, okay, no, she's upset because of these reasons, all these outside factors. So really, it's just navigating kind of their day-to-day changes. And, like, especially when we had our second kid and bringing two into the mix, like, that was obviously a huge upheaval for, her little brain. And we really had to tweak and be like, okay, like, empathy first, like, kind of how we lead it sort of way, but, like,
Yeah.
empathy first. Her world is upside down. We can comprehend it, but she cannot in the way we can. And then shortly after that, we moved, and so, like, that was a big thing as well. So it was two, big hitters back to back. And that was me also, like, you're dealing with your own emotions of leaving a place that you know, leaving your people you're comfortable, and also navigating it as a family and, like, being there for your kids too, which
Oh, yeah, the mama reinvention. And
yes.
just wait until the girls get older and which my husband and I have talked about it so much, but Sawyer and Jameson are 2 very different little dudes,
Yeah,
and the way we parent Sawyer isn't necessarily the way we can parent Jameson and be effective.
totally.
And that whole thing blew my mind and his. And once we started realizing that, I was like, great, I'm reinventing with Jameson every other day because honey badger. And now I'm reinventing with Sawyer as he continues to grow older. So
Yeah.
that is just a constant spiral, basically, parenting.
And I mean, I think that's so true, like, even, like, right, like, my baby, she's about to be 1, but, like, there's some things that, like, her as a baby, like, Sophie never would have done, and I'm like, "Uh-oh, that could be something we're gonna have to deal with down the line, and I'm not prepared for yet." So, we'll get there when we get there, but I
It's
could see
always the
us
second
having
year.
a different style than we did the first time around.
Oh, yeah. And it's so funny because the oldest is always like almost like the people pleaser. I get that
To
because
a
I'm
T.
and the little one is like, "Yeah, I don't care. This is who I am."
Sick, yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, you two wear that role very, very well."
Yes. You fit the mold that people kept telling me about to a T, so okay. Yeah,
Mhm.
I see that in our future, like, she's 3.5, there's still a lot of emotions, but, like, overall, we've gotten quite lucky for a toddler being a toddler, and I think
Mhm.
that is short-lived for me. So, I don't see that continuing as the next one gets older.
Fingers crossed, my friend.
She's a little loud, a little crazy, so
You know,
we'll get there.
she's living her best life right
Yeah,
now.
she's always excited though, so it's like, okay, I guess. I mean, you have this zest that I would love to, entrap and take on myself, so I guess that's a positive for it.
Oh, yeah. Gotta live vicariously through the littles occasionally.
Yes, totally.
Well, thank you so much for
Mm.
joining me, Krista.
Thank
And
you. Happy to do it. Always happy to chat with you.
oh, yeah, repeatedly if recordings don't work, of course.
And on our non-recorded meeting, so it's fine.
Exactly. And thank you guys for joining us. And be sure to tune in to Beyond Orders wherever you get your podcasts. And please be sure to check out our resources for military families during this terrible shutdown. And we'll talk to you all soon. Bye, y'all.